Welcome to Strip Cover Lit, where we squeeze the bigger picture out of literature. I'm Adrian Fort, and we are here for a TBR for the month of March. These are going to be the videos that I will be posting in the coming month. Mondays are for poetry, as always here on the channel, or at least as of late. I will be continuing with a lot of Bukowski through the early part of this month. On Monday the 1st, I will have a poetry discussion for The Last Generation by Charles Bukowski. On Monday the 8th will be a poetry discussion over the second novel by Charles Bukowski. On the 15th will be a poetry discussion over Their Night by Charles Bukowski. Is that right? Did I already do those two? Anyway, it doesn't matter. I'll figure it out. I believe, though, that those are going to be the poems. Unless I have already done those, I might have been screwing up and looking at something wrong, because it strikes me that those poems have already been done for some reason. Or, look, they're poetry discussions. They're not poetry reviews, so it's not like we're limited to one discussion per poetry, maybe per poem. Maybe I have done them before, but here I am rambling. On the 22nd and the 29th, the penultimate and final Mondays of the month, I'm going to be doing something. I did a chapter by chapter run through, read through, discussion through of What is Poetry by John Hall Wheelock earlier on the channel. Not too great fanfare. I think that esoteric and obscure texts such as that are a little bit tougher of a sell than normal. And I do stand by the fact that I want to do more of that type of thing here on the channel, because I think that it is central. It is core to the stripped cover lit experiment. That is what I am trying to do on this channel, is sort of spread a little bit more of the literary and the literature. I guess I should say the literature and the literary. But that is a core tenet of what I am trying to do here. So read-throughs of something like John Hall Wheelock's What is Poetry are, I think, vital to this channel. I know that access to the text itself is going to be limited, but I think that I did enough work around providing excerpts from the book that it is fruitful, even if one does not have the text. So I am aiming towards the end of this month to debut The Sounds of Poetry by Robert Pinsky, Chapter 1 and 2. The Sound of Poetry by Robert Pinsky. This is on the inside cover of the book, the back cover. Robert Pinsky is a poet laureate from the United States. His collected poems, The Figured Wheel, were published in 1996. His translation of The Inferno of Dante, published in 1994, was given the Los Angeles Times Book Prize and the Harold Morton Landon Translation Award of the Academy of American Poets, and in 1998 he received the Academy Lenore Marshall Poetry Prize. He teaches in the graduate writing program at Boston University and lives in Newton Corner, Massachusetts. This book, let me see if I can find. I don't know when it's from. Sorry about the sounds here coming through on the. This is from 1998. Pardon me. I bought this from a library. So part of the inside cover on the front is unreadable because it was marked out. Poetry is a vocal blank 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 art. Robert Pinsky declares in The Sounds of Poetry, the medium of poetry is a human body, the column of air inside the chest shaped into signifying sounds in the larynx in the mouth. In this sense, poetry is just as physical or bodily an art as dancing. As a poet laureate, Pinsky is one of America's best spokesmen for poetry in this fascinating book, writing plainly and specifically for general readers as well as for poets. He explains in detail how the sounds of poetry embody the work of art that is performed in us when we read it aloud. Pinsky devotes clear, informative chapters to the sonic elements of poetry, accent and duration, syntax and line, like and unlike sounds, blank verse and free verse. He illustrates these with examples from the work of some 50 poets, from Shakespeare, Milton, and Emily Dickinson to William Carlos Williams, Wallace Stevens, Robert Frost, Elizabeth Bishop, Louis Gluck, and C.K. Williams and Frank Beidart. This ideal introductory volume belongs in the library of every poet and every student of poetry. So, in the last 2 Mondays of this month, we will continue having Mondays be about poetry, but we will be looking into a text about poetry, writing about poetry. So you will have to let me know if that works for you. You'll have to let me know if it is something that you enjoy, because I will finish it at some point on the channel, but I am not necessarily inclined to finish it immediately on the channel if it does not get, if there's no interest in it. So again, let me know how you feel about that. Wednesdays throughout this month are going to be dedicated to the read-throughs, the 2 read-throughs that I have going on the channel. We will finish Stardust finally. I apologize. I am having a hell of a time with these read-alongs. 1, with Stardust, because I don't really like the book, and 2, with Under the Volcano, because it's a challenging text. And there are times I've had to reread entire chapters because I'll get to the end of the chapter, and not only will I not have anything to talk about, but I don't even know exactly what the hell happened. So I have to go back then and reread the chapter and say, okay, take it page by page, Adrian. You can't bite this off in big chunks. Take it page by page and see where it goes. That is what I've had to do with Under the Volcano. Stardust by Neil Gaiman, honestly, it's just bored the living hell out of me. It really has, and I hate to say it. I was so looking forward to reading some Neil Gaiman here on the channel. I was so looking forward to having my first taste of his writing. I haven't read anything from him before, so this was disappointing, but I am trying my best not to let that show through in the read-along. Maybe I will have that shine through in the book review for the novel. But the 3rd, Wednesday the 3rd, will be Stardust by Neil Gaiman, Chapter 10. The 17th will be Stardust by Neil Gaiman, the epilogue. We will have a discussion on the epilogue for the novel. And the 31st of March will be a Stardust book review, a book review for Stardust by Neil Gaiman. Also in this month, we will have chapters 6 and 7 from Under the Volcano. On Wednesday the 10th, we will have Under the Volcano by Malcolm Lowry, Chapter 6. On Wednesday the 24th, we will have Under the Volcano by Malcolm Lowry, Chapter 7. That is what is going on the Wednesday read-along portions of this channel. I'm going to try to get ahead on my reading, because I want the read-throughs to be straight through, so that we will be getting through a novel at a time versus breaking it up like this. Pardon me. A lot of the, look, it's just a lot of work, guys, and I'm sort of breaking down. I get time off at work. I didn't get it last calendar year. I was screwed out of it. And I was really counting on that time free to be able to get ahead on work. I didn't get the time off of my job. I was hoping to use it for my work, this being my work, so that I could get ahead on things. But that has not happened. Fridays through the month, I am once again sort of using Fridays as a grab bag here on the channel. Different things that I like doing. I started that playlist of opening paragraphs. Oh, real quick, I want to get to the fact here. On Mondays, these poetry discussions for Charles Bukowski, I will be coming up this year on 100 videos in the poetry discussion playlist. I don't brag a whole lot on the channel, but I am particularly proud of that. I don't think that there is a whole lot of poetry discussion here on YouTube, and I take a little bit of pride in the fact that I am bringing poetry to YouTube every week. I think that doing these discussions opens up an avenue for people to disagree with me, people to agree with me, people to read a poem and see something completely different in it. But the reason that I read the poem at the beginning of all of those poetry discussions is so that that text is available regardless of whether you have it or not. Hopefully, if you see something in that poem or in that discussion that you enjoy, it becomes something that you add to a list of books that you want. because I think that in order to help poetry grow, a bigger deal has to be made of a visual context for the art. It might sound stupid to say that, but if you look at the forms of literature that are dying, which were once thriving, it is poetry and they are short stories. Why? You don't make movies out of poetry or short stories. You make movies out of novels. You make TV series out of novels. All of these things, all of the literature that transcends literature into other forms, other mediums, comes from the novel format. And because of that, in the day and age that we're living, I think poetry and short stories are dying because there is no translation for them. There is no transference into another art form. So these short stories and poems are things which I think warrant a whole lot more discussion in order to hopefully stoke that flame a little bit. Now, maybe that's pretentious. Maybe that is far out shooting what it is that I am actually doing here on the channel, but it is something that I hope to provide in general. So if you do not have a poem that is discussed in a poetry discussion, fear not, fret not, because the poem will be presented in the video. It will not be presented in a visual format. Maybe I will get to that point in the future where I am actually displaying the poem on screen. I've gotten away from a lot of the editing on this channel just to sort of simplify the workload. I'm hoping to, in calendar year 2022, increase the production here on the channel versus a lot of the easier type of videos that I do. Speaking into a phone like I'm doing now, I hope to make some more multi-level videos. Fridays through this month, however, I want to return to that. I started the opening paragraph playlist, and I really enjoy doing those because it is a return to the text. It is saying this exists within this book. We're going to talk about the words on the page. We don't have to take the entire run of the novel. We don't have to take the entire scope of the story. We get to take the opening paragraph and look at it and say, what can we learn from this opening paragraph? What is it that we can do with this opening paragraph? Where does this opening paragraph take us? Different things like that. And I think that it is something which is fruitful for me as a writer and a reader, and hopefully it is fruitful for other people in their writing and their reading. I think that these close textual analyses on specific sections of writing are always fruitful for a reader. They have been fruitful for me as a reader, and I think that they really do add something unique to the channel. So on the 5th, Friday the 5th, we're going to be looking at the opening paragraph from Hunger Games. If I can find it here. When I wake up, the other side of the bed is cold. My fingers stretch out, seeking Prim's warmth, but finding only the rough canvas corner of the mattress. She must have had bad dreams and climbed in with her mother. Of course she did. This is the day of the reaping. So that will be the opening paragraph discussion that happens on Friday, March the 5th. On Friday, March the 12th, we're going to have a writer's quote. My goal for this calendar year on the channel is to get to writer's quote 50, and then I am going to kind of set that series on the back burner for a little bit to see if I can make it better, because it does not get a whole lot of response. It does not seem to be helping anyone, and I do not wish for that to be a simply masturbatory experience. I am not making those writer's quote videos just to hear myself talk. That might be why I'm making this video, but not the writer's quote videos. I am hoping that people get things out of the writer's quote videos as much as I do by actually presenting the quote. So I'm going to put that series on the back burner and see if I can't do a little bit of brainstorming to figure out how to make it better. On Friday the 19th of March, we're going to have Chapter 1 of Slaughterhouse 5 by Kurt Vonnegut. Chapter 1 of Slaughterhouse 5 by Kurt Vonnegut reads as such. All this happened, more or less. The war parts, anyway, are pretty much true. One guy I knew really was shot in Dresden for taking a teapot that wasn't his. Another guy I knew really did threaten to have his personal enemies killed by hired gunmen after the war. And so on. I've changed all their names. So that is the opening paragraph, which will be presented on Friday the 19th. I really enjoy that series, and I hope that you do too. I think it really adds something unique to the channel, and something unique and explicitly literary to YouTube in general. Now, on Friday the 26th, we will have our April TBR, which I am going to start trying to do on a monthly basis and setting up much in the same manner as this one. I hope that this opens up discussion on the channel in general. If there is anything you would like to see differently, done differently, any different types of videos you would like to see here on the channel, anything that I have stopped doing that you would like me to return to, let me know. This is something, the TBRs are something that I got away from for a while because I just got away from them. It escaped me what I was doing. But what happened is that I fell behind on work. I fell behind on this stuff. I am now back ahead, so hopefully I will be able to stay ahead and continue producing these videos in order to sort of set the direction for the month to be. And hopefully setting the direction for the month to be is more fruitful than simply surprising with videos.